So let's go beyond the gold mine that you have access to and are helping to create with your calls with these customers. So what happens, what unlocks when we go beyond that and to all these other records that you don't necessarily touch or add to ServiceNow records, legal contracts, etc.
So as we pull more users in, all of these users have different data. So like when you think about the customer meeting summarization, it's actually more interesting to me to be able to gain insights about the meetings I wasn't on, that I don't own the recording on. Like if a CSM is meeting with a customer and that customer is saying they're unhappy about something, I'm not on that meeting. That's really useful information for me as a product manager. Similarly, the sales exec who's attached to that customer wants to know, but they're probably not on the call. And as we get everyone loading their content in, suddenly the people who weren't on the meeting gain the value of the insights from the meeting. And one of the things that excites me about Storytell is as we define questions that each of the different personas across the entire company cares about, we can encourage every single persona to be putting its data into the tool because it's getting value out of the tool. So like notes at any company are hit and miss. Half the time meetings don't even get into the notes. Why? Is the person who's putting the notes in the shared notes doc ever get any value out of that? No, it's a time burden on. You know, many of my CSMs do a meeting summary with action items. Do they all? Do they all do it for every single meeting? I guarantee you, there's times where it gets dropped. And it's not because they don't think it's important. But at the end of the day, do they get value out of it? So the more you can get value to the user who you need to perform the action, the more likely that action is to happen. So by getting value to the CSM role, suddenly the CSMs are going to be uploading their meeting. By getting value from my sales exec, suddenly the sales exec is going to be loading data into the meeting. By getting value to my my product marketing team around things like asking across customer calls, who our competitors are and what the strengths and weaknesses that our customers are talking about with them are, they're suddenly getting this detailed compete analysis, which means they have value to be adding their own research compete analysis to this language model. That suddenly means when an account exec asks that same question about a customer, it can pull in even more information about the competitors that are in that account. So, I think of it as every single role in the company that touches the customer, which at the end of the day is every single role, they all have different data. And as we can get them value out of putting that data into the system, we increase the amount of data that's there such that that data can provide value to the rest of the company.
I mean, I just hear such an amplifier, both for more data being accessed, created,
Yeah.
this flywheel that's driven by
Yeah.
value.
Well, and honestly, even if it's in your notes, like Storytell's faster. We have a prospect. I'm sorry, not a prospect, a customer who I I was looking at with the CSM how many applications they were deploying. We were trying to remember how many they had total. Like what percentage of the way through setting everything up. Start digging through the notes. Digging through the notes for 20 minutes. Then I go, I've got the calls with this person in Storytell. Pull up Storytell. How many applications does this customer have? Gives me the exact number. I click, it takes me to the transcript. It's got the exact number. One of these again took seconds. It was in my notes, but those notes even the summarized notes had grown long enough that I was digging through it for a significant chunk of time before it even occurred to me that there was a better way, because I'm not used to having that tool. But the more I use it, every time I use it to answer a question like that, it's so much faster. And it's accurate. Like otherwise I couldn't use it.
Right.